there's a lot of things in the ocean that we have yet to discover. But this one thing that's out there, it's out there. He's just been invading us for the longest, bro. He's out there. Megalodon. Yes, first video back. And I had to come out the gate with the Megalodon, bro. 10 sightings of the Megalodon that may prove it exists. You know I'm extra hyped for this video. Let's go.
The Megalodon. This prehistoric shark was the most massive shark on the planet. Its name simply means big tooth, and it ruled the oceans from 23 million years ago to as recent as 2.6 million years ago. Scientists say that this shark was much bigger and much stockier than the current great white sharks that we see in the oceans. But with only 5% of the seas and oceans explored, could there possibly be megalodons still living in the depths of the dark waters? Some very strange things have been happening that could be easily explained if megalodon still exists. The Megalodon that ate a great white shark. Back in 2014, Australian researchers started hunting for what they called the mystery sea monster that apparently ate a 9-foot-long great white shark.
What's eating a 9-foot-long great white? Somebody tell me. Other than a megalodon that you can think of, what's eating?
This great white shark had a tracking device that was put on it in order to track its behavior and find out where the shark swam and where it fed. It turns out, instead of finding out what the great white shark was eating, something else decided to eat the great white shark. The tracking device that was planted on the shark was found washed up on the beach. After doing an analysis on the tracking device, data showed that it had suddenly undergone a rapid increase in temperature and that it took a swift 500-meter dive beneath the ocean. Of course, the scientists attributed the 30-degree spike in temperature from the shark actually entering another animal's stomach or digestive system, if you will. The unexpected and swift descent of the tracking device could be explained by the larger animal's rapid descent beneath the waves. The scientists ended up finding the tracking device, and only the tracking device, about 2.5 miles from where the shark was originally tagged.
Ate him and then spit out this tracking device to say, here, y'all missing something?
When the data first came back from the tag, researchers were absolutely blown away by what they were seeing. Of course, the big question was, what could have done this? It was obvious that the animal was eaten, but we're talking about a 9-foot or 3-meter great white shark that weighed well over 1,500 pounds. When you think about what could possibly eat a 9-foot great white shark, the only thing that comes to mind is a much bigger shark. It was estimated that a shark would have to weigh at least 2 tons in order to eat the smaller 9-foot shark. This countable and colossus great white shark is likely living somewhere in the depths of the ocean. And who's to say it couldn't be the legendary Megalodon? These creatures were huge and probably lived in the deeper parts of the ocean. Could it be that they still exist and are hiding in places such as the Marianas Trench? Perhaps in due time we'll find out if this creature still exists once we're able to explore more of the oceans. Megalodon, or largest great white.
I just don't see another great white doing that. It had to be a megalodon doing that, bro. And this 9 foot? No. Don't try to dress it up. No, it's megalodon.
Many scientists have said that the Megalodon was much like a great white shark, except that it was much bigger and much more powerful. It's presumed that the Megalodon is now an extinct prehistoric shark, and some of them probably grew to be at least 60 feet or 20 meters long.
60 feet? Yo, what you doing with 60 feet? Nothing. Huh? Nothing. You might as well start praying.
But with so much of the seas and oceans unexplored, scientists can't really say that this is an accurate statement. There have been many great white shark sightings, and some of these creatures have been giants. If you needed an example of a giant megalodon or great white shark, then a massive shark that was seen near Mexico's Guadalupe Island would be the perfect one. While cave diving, looking for great white sharks near the island, a massive great white shark suddenly appeared out of the murky blue water. And when we say massive, we're not kidding. The shark was more than 20 feet or 7 meters long, and it was estimated to weigh at least 1 or 2 tons.
Did this fool have his hand in his mouth? Look. Like, I get it. Y'all researchers, man. Y'all are some of the most bravest people we'll ever know. But what? Why put your hand in? I don't get it.
7 meters long, and it was estimated to weigh at least 1 or 2 tons. The incredibly massive shark was nicknamed Deep Blue for the way that it suddenly appeared out of the deep blue depths of the water. The shark was estimated to be around 50 years old and believed to be one of the largest great white sharks that have ever been seen in modern times. Interestingly enough, there are claims that this shark has been seen before. In the video, you can see the shark coming up near the cage and then opening its mouth as though it wants to take a bite out of the juicy human that's inside. However, the shark was so big that it would do more than just take a bite out of the human in the cage. It might actually swallow them whole along with the cage.
That's what I was just thinking. Like, you go down there, you got all this protective stuff, you got this cage around you, you think you safe, and he just come up, eat the cage, and just carry you out. No shit. Like, what do you do at that point when you thought you had it all figured out?
In the shark kingdom, female great whites are much larger than the male great white, and there was speculation that because this shark was so big, it may actually have been pregnant. As the shark swims towards the cage, it doesn't appear to be very aggressive, but more curious, so what's going on? However, for the man inside of the cage, it must have been kind of a frightening experience. At least a little bit when first seeing it come through the deep blue murky water. Could this massive great white shark be an ancestor or cousin of the Megalodon? The shark was tagged, and it's not known if the shark has been seen again since, but if Deep Blue does decide to show herself to more divers, you're likely to end up seeing it here on Top 5. Huge shark breaks into cage with divers. If that last piece of footage of the giant, massive, deep blue shark didn't scare you just because the guy was in a cage, then this next video will surely bring some excitement into your life and maybe make you think twice about going on a cage diving experience of your own. In October of 2016, footage of an incident with a diver and a shark took place near Guadalupe Island off the west coast of Mexico. At the beginning of the video, people on the boat are seen baiting a fairly big shark, which turns aggressive as it naturally would. Sharks are known to go into what's called a feeding frenzy when they start eating. In fact, this feeding frenzy is so aggressive that the sharks go blind and are unable to see what they are attacking. The reason for baiting the sharks around the cages is so that the divers inside with cameras can get good footage of the creatures. Well, the diver in this instance probably got more than he—
I've seen that clip before, but just to hear the reasoning why, and that the shark, you know, the shark is going blind while he's in a feeding frenzy, it's not, that just don't equal up.
Bargained for when the shark decided that it wanted to get inside of the cage with him. At the beginning of the video, you can see the shark going after the bait very aggressively. Everything looks fine, except for when the shark runs into the side of the cage where it begins thrashing viciously. Since these cages are made out of metal, no one on the boat probably thought that the guy inside was in any danger. That was until it appeared that the shark actually went through the side of the cage. In the video, the cage starts to move violently around with the shark inside of it. The operator of the boat, or the tour guide, clearly distressed, runs towards the cage to try to open the top of the cage door.
Scariest day in his life, I know it was.
It's clear at this point that the shark is actually inside of the cage and trying to escape. The people on the boat realize that there's a diver who's inside of this cage with the shark. The shark suddenly appears at the top of the cage as it's trying to escape, with blood coming from its gills, possibly from damage from entering the side of the cage just moments before. The shark finally jumps out of the cage, and the people are left wondering where the diver is. Everyone's probably standing around in horror when one of the people asks, "Is there anyone in there?" It goes without saying that everyone was probably standing around in shock, wondering if the diver was safe at this point. The tour guide or boat operator starts to panic when everyone realizes that there is no one in the cage. Surprisingly, and just a few moments later, the diver surfaces to the top of the cage with his camera, signaling with his right hand that he's okay. With probable sighs of relief, everyone on the boat starts to clap and cheer. Amazingly enough, The diver was completely unscathed by the event, except for probably a little emotional trauma.
I bet they left that out the pamphlet though. When they get you to sign up for them excursions or shark sightings or going out and feeding the whales or whatever it is they do, they leave that type of stuff right there out the pamphlet.
Monster sharks stalking divers. It goes without saying that the great white sharks are probably one of the most incredible animals on the planet. They're also considered the ocean's top predators and are one of the largest species of all sharks. If Megalodon had a cousin or ancestor, the great white shark would be it. The biggest great white shark ever caught was in Australia back in the 1870s, with records stating that the monster shark was almost 40 feet long. That sounds like a megalodon right there. In March of 2018, some terrifying photos of a 20-foot-long great white shark surfaced on the internet, and the divers involved in the event probably said to themselves, "We're gonna need a bigger cage." The shark was seen swimming around and dwarfing a small research cage filled with divers who were filming just in case they had a close encounter with a great white, and in this case, they ended up getting lucky. The giant shark was carefully and patiently observing the diver.
See, that's the part that gets me right there. See that this little section here where the cable is connected to the cage? If he gets caught in between here some kind of way and starts going crazy like we saw him do in the last video, what is he gonna do? Snap that cable away from the cage, and where you go? Down. You know what I'm saying? It's over for you at that point.
Divers inside of the cage as it swam through a school of shimmering mackerel. These photos were taken by one of the divers in another cage for a shark identification project off the Guadalupe Islands in Mexico by water safety specialist John Meyer. The great white shark seemed to be stalking the divers who were in the cage and was estimated to weigh at least 2 tons. The shark is said to be one of the biggest great white sharks ever seen and was as wide as a VW camper van, according to John. The shark was indeed identified as a female great white. The shark swam up slowly from the depths of the ocean and introduced herself to the divers, and then she moved away slowly with very little effort, seemingly gliding more than swimming. The shark ended up circling the cage a few times and then swam away as it became uninterested in the humans inside. Monster shark in South Australia. Australia is known for having a lot of different dangerous creatures, and when it comes to great white sharks, you can be sure that you'll find them there as well. In January of 2018, a father and son team who were out fishing had a close encounter with a giant great white. The massive great white was filmed circling the boat off the coast of Semaphore, South Australia. The person who filmed the footage, Matt Robertson, claimed that the great white had to be at least 6 meters long, which was bigger than the boat that they were fishing from. The footage then continues to show the great white circling the boat. The giant great white shark disappears from view, and then they realize that suddenly it's underneath.
Now, I'm no shark behavioral expert, but when they start circling the boat, bruh, my antennas would go up and say, we need to get out of here. That's just me. My survival instincts would say, not feeling too good about this. Maybe we need to start the boat.
The boat as it grabs onto the nets. Of course, this isn't the only time that great white sharks have been stalking boats in the same area. A week before this happened, a 5-meter-long great white shark was caught on video by a nervous family after it began circling their fishing boat. Fortunately, as no one ended up going in the water, everyone was safe. Sharks running into divers. Believe it or not, sharks really aren't interested in humans, and many of the attacks you hear about involve surfers who look like seals swimming on the surface of the water. If a shark could tell the difference between a human and a seal, it would go after the seal. It was once thought that great white sharks have poor eyesight, but it was recently found that they have excellent eyesight, but roll their eyeballs back into the eye sockets to prevent injury. It's a good time to mention that for some reason, of which we tried to understand and do a little research, most wetsuits are completely black, which is coincidentally the same color as seals. This is probably why many divers are attacked, such as the man in the video you're about to see. These two divers, who are father and son, are part of a salvage team and were exploring the ocean floor in South Africa when they got a surprise visit from a great white shark. In the short 4-second clip, the shark suddenly appears out of nowhere behind one of the divers and then bares its teeth for a moment, looking as if it was gonna attack, and almost bites the head off the diver.
I know we can't speak down there up underwater, but I'm down there trying to be like, yeah, whoa. Can we talk about this real quick? Hey, calm down. Hey, I'm your friend. I was just leaving. I get it. I'm in your area. I should have called first. Like, I'd have been down there trying to reason with him.
The diver perhaps felt the tip of the shark's mouth bump him in the head and then quickly ducks as the shark swims past him. Some experts believe that
and he remained calm.
The shark had realized in that instant that the pair were not prey and left without any interest. And in another video, divers in the same South African waters swimming off the coast of Durban looked as though they might become part of a shark attack. In the footage, one of the divers is trying to avoid a black-tipped shark which looks as though it's going to attack him, while one of the other divers is filming the group of sharks. The diver then makes a movement with his hands that creates some bubbles which distract the shark for a moment, but the shark then turns around to get back to the diver, or so it looks like, and instead charges and collides with the other diver who was filming head on. The shark ended up hitting the diver right in the face, which knocked off his mask and pulled the regulator from his mouth. The divers say the shark was startled and was trying to get away. Believe it or not, no one was hurt in these two incidents, which is surprising. Scuba diver attacked by a shark. Sharks are probably the biggest thing that scuba divers have to worry about when they're diving or fishing. And when it comes to sharks, the great white is probably the most dangerous next to the bull shark. That is because this shark simply has more aggressive behavior than the other sharks and will attack just about anything it sees as being food. The other thing that makes this shark so dangerous is the fact that it can survive in any kind of water, salt or fresh, and with that said, it can be found in just about any body of water. Everywhere you wouldn't expect to find one of these sharks. Check your tub. A bull shark also has a really strong bite and is one of the top 3 sharks likely to attack a human, with the great white and the tiger shark being the other two. This shark has a fitting nickname, the pit bull of the sea, and in just a second you'll see why. A diver decided he would do a little spear fishing in Australia off the North Queensland coast, but this time the hunter would turn out to be the hunted. In the video, the diver goes in for a deep dive and gets about halfway down when he spots a shark on the edge of the channel deep in the water. The diver said the shark didn't worry him, but then the shark sees the diver and turns and starts swimming towards the diver.
A lot of people say they can kind of identify with the little spear that you have in your hand, man, and then it just sends them into a pit of rage.
Diver at full charge. The diver thinks that the shark won't attack him and was just gonna poke him with the spear gun a little to show he's not food, but the shark doesn't care and viciously bites the end of the spear gun. The diver lunged forward with the gun a little bit, but it appears the gun goes off and impales the shark. The diver couldn't tell if the shark was incapacitated at this point and let go of the gun to get out of the water. It did appear as though the bull shark was in trouble with the spear gun stuck to the inside of its mouth as it was writhing around, and the shark began sinking. However, the diver decided to keep swimming away and thought that the shark would spit out the spear gun, not knowing at the time the shark was impaled. Whale protects diver. That
probably saved his life at that point. You know what I mean? That saved his life.
Goes without saying that whales are intelligent creatures.
I know some people have been like, oh, the shark, you impaled the shark, man. At that point, it's life or death. It's him or me.
And perhaps even smarter than man when you consider that their habitat has been nearly destroyed by human pollution and whales have been nearly hunted to extinction. But this story is truly remarkable. A whale biologist was filming a giant humpback whale when something extraordinary occurred. It's speculated that whales have an intuitive nature to protect other animals and other species of animals, including humans. A marine biologist, Nan Hauser, who was 63 years old at the time of this incident, said this was something she believed in. However, this is something that's never been caught on film. This video footage shows the gentle giant guiding the diver in a certain direction, and it's not too long that Nan makes it to the surface and then tells her team that there's a shark close by in the water. And this wasn't just any small shark just passing through, but it was a 15-foot tiger shark. As you watch the video, it looks as though the giant humpback whale is just being playful and friendly as it pushes Nan around the water and keeps circling back as though it's curious, but until Nanan realized there was actually a shark beneath them circling around, she then realized the whale's behavior was protective. During this time, the whale even glides along with Nan over the top of its fin as it moves through the water. If you notice, the whale does this several times in an effort to hide her from the predator below, and at one point, the whale even pushes Nan to the surface of the water with its head and mouth. She also said that the other whale went to the surface and slapped its tail in the water to frighten away or alert others that danger was present. At first, Nan thought that the shark was another whale who was coming to join in on the fun, but when she saw the way the shark swam, moving its tail left to right instead of up and down like a whale, she realized it was a menacing shark swimming towards her. The video footage also captures the moment when Nan is back safely on the boat and the whale surfaces to check on her. Oxygen tank filled.
Technically, she wasn't back safe on the boat. She was still hanging off to the side, like the shark can't reach up and grab her and pull her in the water. Y'all better start thinking.
The seas and oceans are treacherous places, and divers need good equipment as their lives depend on it. If that equipment fails and you're on your own, your chances of survival are suddenly cut in half. This is the story of two friends, Nick Burke and Matt Henderson, who were out on a 30-minute fishing dive off the coast of Hillary's Boat Harbor in Perth, Western Australia. The two friends were about to finish up the dive when they realized they were in deep trouble, literally. At 100 feet underwater, Matt's gear suddenly failed, and he had lost his oxygen mask from an oxygen tank that had failed. It might not seem like 100 feet underwater is very much, but when you watch the video, you realize just how deep the two are. Matt suddenly swam towards Nick and then very quickly ripped off his mask, which obviously indicated trouble with the equipment. Nick's instincts took over, and at that moment he pulled out his spare oxygen regulator. But the most dangerous part of the ordeal was not yet over. If you're a diver and you're far below the surface of the water, you have to make your way back to the...
And see what it was, them bubbles, it make you look like a fish in distress. So you just pretty much sending a signal to a shark that says, hey, I'm a fish in distress, come get me. And he gonna recognize you.
Surface slowly, or you can suffer what's called the bends, which actually can be fatal. This rapid ascent can cause a formation of gas bubbles, mostly nitrogen, in the blood. It can affect any area of the body, including the lungs, the heart, and the brain, and can be potentially deadly. In the scary footage, the two are seen moving to the surface, and at one point it looks as though Matt has lost consciousness. And for the record, Matt is an Army veteran and had 8 years of diving experience at the time of the accident. When his mask stopped working and he started taking in water, he said that he had started to black out and thought he was gonna die. The two divers were rushed to the hospital and ended up spending 5 hours in the emergency room. But they survived one of the scariest diving moments caught on film. Tiger shark thief. As we talked about earlier in the video, tiger sharks are one of the 3 known sharks that'll attack a human. But what wasn't previously known is that these sharks can end up being potential thieves of high-tech equipment, namely your video camera. Some divers were on holiday in the Bahamas and looked like they were too close to a group of tiger sharks when one of the sharks decides he's had enough of the filming and proceeds to take away one of the diver's video cameras. In the footage, you can see the tiger shark as it approaches the diver holding the camera. The large tiger shark swims right towards the diver and goes to bite the camera. Thinking
Buddy wasn't letting that camera go, was he, bro? He had to pay a grip for that. Only way somebody holding onto a camera with a shark attached to it is if they paid a lot of money for it, bro. He's like, nah, fam, I'm still making payments on this.
That the shark will probably let go of the camera, the diver holds onto his expensive equipment as the shark continues to swim away. It is at this moment that the situation probably became a bit scary, as there are other sharks around, and it looks as though a tiger shark has a hold of one of the divers. The shark can be seen chewing on the camera, and at this point, the photographer is trying to pull the camera free. But surprisingly, the shark does not let go of the camera. The shark then spins around and wrestles the camera from the diver's hands, and calmly swims off with it still in its mouth. It would seem that even at this point, the shark would probably drop the camera, but the shark keeps the camera in its mouth and continues to swim away, showing that tiger sharks are awesome thieves. However, what you might not know is that tiger sharks are a unique species of shark that are known for their really bizarre eating habits, in which they are known to eat edible, man-made objects, and in this case, including expensive cameras.
We would have had to make up a story when we got back to the job. It's like, what happened to the camera? Bro, you'll never believe this, because they're not going to believe the shark ate it and kept it in his mouth. You got to come up with something that's going to be a little bit believable. You know what I mean? Listen, bro. They're out there. They're still out there. Megalodon. Still out there. A lot of y'all, I be seeing y'all in the comments. Y'all be riding with me. Y'all understand. It's real. He out there. Some of y'all be like, man, he ain't out there, bro. But we rock with you because we rock with you, but he ain't out there. Listen, he's out there. And when he does surface and they get actual proof to show the world, I'm going to be the first one to hop on this camera and say, I told y'all. I told y'all. And it's going to happen soon. Mark my words. I'm out. Till the next reaction. Peace, y'all. Stay solid. Hey.